right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting of the Rutherford County Benefits and Insurance meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is going to be approval of the March 29, 2012 minutes. I have a motion. Do I have a second? A second. All right. All those, is there any discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item is going to be our financials, and we'll ask Miss Melissa Stinson to go over this for us, please.
Good afternoon. If you'll refer to Fund 264, we'll begin with the medical financial report. For the month of March, our per employee per month was $664.77. Compared to prior year at the same time, we were $594.73. When we combine the medical claims experience with the on-site medical experience, our total per employee per month is $698.80 compared to prior year of $624.94 for a year-to-date average of $726.99 with a 14.8% increase over last year currently. Are there any questions on this report? Okay. If not, we'll go to Fund 266. At the end of March, we have a year-to-date of $833,457.70 compared to prior year of $721,156.60. So we're trending slightly above prior year. We currently have 19 open workers' comp claims, as well as our OJI that make up the $833,000 that I referenced. Are there any questions on this report?
Thank you, Ms. Stinson. Is there any questions on the last two reports? Okay. Well, we're moving right along. We'll ask Mr. Dan Good if he'll come up, please, and give us a OJI update, please, sir.
Good afternoon. You should have the report there in front of you, the OSHA report for March of this year, 2012. You'll notice for the month we had a total of 13 injuries in the month of March requiring medical attention. I'll let you look at the breakdown that how they occurred there. For the year to date, that brings the total to 39. Of that 39, 31 of them were OSHA recordable, 15 had restricted days, 5 had lost days, and the remaining 11 were for all others. If you look at the graph, you'll notice for the first 3 months of this year compared to the first 3 months of last year, we are down, and for the last 2 years. So that's a good trend that you'll see there. Of the 13 claims, you'll notice on the next page that the total incurred dollars were $88,155. And those 13 claims break down for the Board of Education having 9 of them, and their total incurred was $18,987. The other 4 were with the County General, and the total incurred dollars for them were slightly over $69,000 for $69,168. And those 4 claims in the Rutherford County General were within the Sheriff's Department, as you see there on the last page. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Could you please explain the miscellaneous causes that was on the one, the claim that was for $65,418?
Without going into any great detail at this time, there was one injury that has had some, that doesn't fit into any one category because of the condition that it was in, but it's one claim. But now that's just an estimate on what it would cost. That's not the total cost at this time. That's about all I can say at this time.
We are a little bit limited on what we can share only because of HIPAA and protecting the PHI related to the claims.
Any other questions for Mr. Dan? Okay. All
Very
right,
much.
thank you. All right, next we'll ask Ms. Kelly Perrin to come up for us and give us a wellness update, please, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to give you the wellness report. For April, we had a lunch and learn at the Stonecrest Hospital in Smyrna. It was our first session in Smyrna, and we had 9 people for stress management. On last Tuesday, we had a healthy cooking class with Asian stir fry with 12 employees, and our April discount was $5 Publix gift cards to buy fruits and veggies with. We have several upcoming activities for May. Our wellness discount is 20% off at Lanes, Trains, and Autos, so you can have some family fun time for a coupon, and the coupon will be in the wellness newsletter in May. And we have the mammography unit is coming out, and we still have about a dozen appointments available. If you know anybody, or if anybody in your department is interested in getting some slots, we do have some open at Blackman and Stewart's Creek locations. The NGO screen mobile unit is coming out on May 7th and May 17th. Those are all full. And our next health and cooking class is May 10th, and we're going to have fajitas. And now I would like to call up Lori Cook. She has been hired as the wellness specialist for Take Care MedPoint. This is Lori, and we're going to work together and collaborate on various wellness programs. One of the new programs that we're going to do is Wellness on Wheels, where we come to your department. We can come at a staff meeting, or we can come during your break time or lunchtime and set up a table. We can do like free blood pressure checks, cholesterol checks. We have a DermaSkin machine that Cigna can let us use, and we can just come talk about any wellness programs that we can bring to you. Our first one is June 20th in the courthouse lobby, so we'd love for you guys to come by and see what we're doing, and would welcome the opportunity to set up with you guys. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. All right. The next item on the agenda is CCMSI renewal, and we'll call on Ms. Janet Bowman. Please come up and give us a discussion, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. You should have the handout. It's the colorful handout. This is the property and casualty renewal, which expires July the 1st. The very first page that you'll see is the exposure comparison. We're actually comparing your expiring premiums and exposure versus your renewal. So at the very top of the page, you'll see property, the contents for the buildings, and the purple is the expiring, and the green is the renewal. Those are your insured values. That's the rating base that the property carrier uses when they're looking at pricing the renewal account. Right below that, you'll see the building renewal values for the contents for the county. Below that, you'll see the schools. And then the miscellaneous equipment is going to be anything that would not fall in the bucket of contractor's equipment or musical instruments. That's going to be things like computers and things of that nature is your miscellaneous. Those items, the miscellaneous, contractor's equipment, and musical instruments, you'll see those coverages or expiring limits are the same as they were for the renewal. A little bit of difference, around a 2% increase in the property statement of values, which again is the rating base. So you'll look at the very bottom, you'll see in the bold the total insured values, right at $1.036 billion expiring, and then the renewal is right at $1.051 billion at the renewal. The casualty, you'll see a little bit of difference there in the vehicles, 628 vehicles that's currently in the fleet that's owned by Rutherford County. Compared to the renewal, it's 662. And then you'll see the operating expenditures, population, again, it's going to be the same from a census standpoint. Fire department and hired and non-owned liability and physical damages were included both years. If If you go down below that, you'll see the crime, public officials, and educators' legal liability. The reason why we break this out is so that you can see how the underwriters price the account and what basis that they're going from. The number of employees, you'll see expiring versus the renewal, and then the number of students for the school board for the educators' legal is how that is rated. If you flip over to the second page, we're going to go into actually the renewal quotes. Okay, I talked with Ms. Stinson this morning, and I'll just say right here, right now, I'm not happy with these renewal numbers, okay? I would like a little bit more time to work on these. I do understand the process of how everything goes through Insurance Committee, Budget and Finance, and then to the full commission. But we received the property numbers 2 days ago, and we received the casualty numbers last night about 5:30 Central Standard Time and 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, where the underwriter is located. So I've not had time to really go back and negotiate, which is typically what we do back and forth for several weeks. But so I'm going to go over these numbers today, but I really would like to have a little bit more time to get the numbers down. So let's just say that these are going to be worst case scenarios, okay? So if you look at, as we walk through this, the property currently is with Travelers. If you recall, last year we moved it to Travelers because Allianz was the previous carrier. Allianz had been your property carrier for approximately 7 to 8 years. Allianz got out of the property public entity market and stayed in the private sector, and so we and you guys had no choice but to move that over. So Travelers came in at that point and provided a very competitive number. Wasn't happy this year at the onset of the renewal because I was afraid that something like this would happen. You see that a lot of times in a bid situation or when a carrier goes out and is not writing that coverage anymore. They come in the first year, they price it similar, and then the second year they come back and kind of hit you with a more increase. Now, granted, the property values have gone up, like I said, around 2%, but if you'll note, the increase is showing around 8%, and for Ms. Nolan's purposes, about 8.9%. So, again, really would like to work on those numbers. You'll see in the kind of the light green there, you'll see the expiring property rate. That is per 100 of value, okay? So you take that rate times per 100 of the building value, and that's what rates out to your expiring premium, you'll see. And then you'll see the rate that they quoted, so a little bit difference in the rate, and of course the value has gone up. Again, around an 8.9% increase, so overall about a 6% increase in rates. All of the inland marine is right there below that in the yellow highlighted area. As far as coverages, the coverages are very comparable. As far as the limits are exactly the same, the retention is exactly the same. The same is true for the building and contents. The retention, the $100,000 retention is the same as expiring. The only thing I'm not real pleased with right now is the rate per 100 of value. Okay, so that's something I would like to revisit with the excess markets pending your approval today. If you go into the second page, that goes into the actual crime coverage. That's with Great American. Y'all have had the policy with Great American, I'm going to say probably for around 15 years. Their renewal is same coverages, same limits. It is flat. With that being said, one of the things that I had promised to the board last year is I would like them to offer, as they have in the past, a 3-year policy. That way it locks in the rates and you're guaranteed so that you don't see any type of fluctuation. If the market fluctuates, you're guaranteed the rate. They said that they would revisit that when they provide the renewal quote. They did not address that. I went back to the underwriters and asked for that, and they have not responded as of yet. So while the renewal is flat, I still think we can improve on looking for a potential 3-year policy on that, and that's something I would still like to continue to work on as well. But again, the premiums, limits, deductibles, and so forth are the same as expiring, as is your carrier. The third page goes into your casualty coverages, which is your general liability, law enforcement, public officials liability, employment practices, educators legal, auto liability, auto physical damage, garage keepers, the sexual abuse, sexual harassment, nurses professional liability. Same carrier ACE. The limits are the same. The exception here is the retention. If you'll notice, The retention for the auto physical damage, if you'll note, it's about 3/4 the way down the page. You'll see the expiring retention at $25,000, which I'll say is a low retention for a county your size for auto physical damage. That's going to be your comp and collision for all the vehicles that the county owns. However, they actually quoted, if you'll look at the quoted retention to the far right, you'll see that that went up around to $200,000. Now, let me tell you where that's coming from, and y'all probably already know this without me telling you. 2009, April of 2009, hail damage, catastrophic claim, and then also October 18th, 2011, the same type of situation, except this, I know you're all aware, I think every department was pretty much affected. And so we've hit the excess layer a couple of times. With that being said, the increase is right at 7%. Some of it's exposure increase, but not all of that. Again, I got the numbers so late last night. I really want to come back and revisit that with the carrier. The underwriter has been the same underwriter on y'all's account since y'all moved to ACE about 5 or 6 years ago. He really wants to work with you guys. Unfortunately, they've had 4 people to leave in the past 2 weeks, and so his hands was kind of tied getting the numbers to us. So it's just kind of been a domino effect this year, it seems like. But anyway, with that being said, I still think we can work on those numbers and get those numbers down. They are offering that $7,500 safety training credit, so if you take that off, it actually comes down to about a 6% increase. But here again, I'm really not satisfied with that number as well. I really would like time to go back and work on this and present some additional numbers potentially to Budget and Finance if that's a possibility. But I'll be glad to answer any questions or clarify anything that you have with regards to the spreadsheets.
Bowen, I'd like to clarify one thing that you said. Going back to the crime coverage with Great American, you said you were requesting a 3-year policy. We're actually on a 12-month policy basis right now, and the 3-year does not lock us into an additional 3 years with them. Is that correct? It just puts us a rate guarantee for a 3-year period.
That is correct, and that's a very good point, because I know that boards are not allowed to actually, I guess, vote for the insurance and obligate other board members each year,
right.
But yes, that would just protect the county as far as locking in the rate.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have one more just for the purpose of the committee. You had indicated that the $25,000 was a low retention level. The $200,000, what is your opinion on that? However, do you feel that that is a reasonable retention for a group of our size, or is it too high?
Probably reasonable, but I don't like the fact that we went from $25,000 all the way to $200,000 with a rate increase. It's kind of like a double whammy to the county. Stair-stepping to kind of let you absorb that additional increase. For a county this size and for the catastrophic events that have happened, it's not unreasonable, but I still think we can do better than that. I will say in comparison with other counties of like size, it's probably very reasonable.
Anybody have any more questions? Now, Ms. Bowman, because we're going to have a motion on this is going to be worst-case scenario. That's correct. This is what you're presenting us, but if we could, we can look at this and we can send this as worst-case scenario, but you could come back with some better-looking numbers. Right. Okay.
It is worst-case scenario. Hopefully we improve on the premium and the retentions both. The coverages are pretty much identical to what they were last year. So the only thing I'm really concerned with are the like I said, the premiums and the deductibles or the out-of-pocket that the county has to pay. So yes, it would just improve on.
Okay. And you were thinking that you could possibly get with this and have this back when we send this to budget. Is that 2 Thursdays from now? On May the 10th. That will give you time to have.
Yes, most definitely.
So that the commissioners can see some true numbers from us. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any more questions? All right. How do we need to take this, Miss Melissa? Do we just want to send a motion that we yes, Miss Ely?
Chairman, I would make a motion that we allow CCMSI to continue negotiating on behalf of the county, and that those renewal rates be sent directly to the Budget Committee, which is a May 10th meeting, and therefore we will have time to get it in the budget overview prior to that date.
Sounds good. We've got a motion. Do we have a second? A second, Mr. Will. All right, any more discussion?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
If these numbers don't come in any better, do we still have time to kick the budget committee, because Ms. Seeley and I are both on the budget committee, and we're not going to like the numbers any better than Ms. Bowman likes them. There's still time in place to kick it back and start all over again, I take it is or not. I mean, are we bound? I mean, if the numbers don't come back in, I mean, if they're watching this meeting on TV and happen to say, well, they've got to take those numbers, I mean, we've still got an out if the numbers don't get better, do we not? Or do we?
What I would suggest at that point in time, since I'm y'all's broker, I'm going to give you the best advice as a broker because you're my client, is what we would want to do then is get a 30-day extension from the excess carrier. And fortunately for us, they are in Philadelphia and Chicago, so they don't have access to be able to watch anything on TV. But yes, we would want to get a 30-day extension. That way it's not locking you in for that full year. You would pay a prorated premium, and then that way we would have other options. I'll also say that in the meantime, if we get a couple of days down the line and I see this is not going well, I'll be talking back and forth with Ms. Stinson, and we'll look at other options prior to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting as well.
Any more questions, discussion? All right, having a motion on the floor, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Bowman. All right, the next item on the agenda is other business. Ms. Melissa, we have anything? All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none, then I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.